Right.
So now on to Spotify.
Yes.
The issues that Neil Young had brought up was basically that they're not a fucking music company. They're there to make profit. So they've split into the podcast, and they're not really there to care about the content and the damage it makes on said podcasts.
Facts.
Right. So at what point, it's if your goal as a company is to make money for your shareholders, your goal isn't necessarily like the content. It doesn't necessarily matter as much. And honestly, the culture and society it might create, it doesn't really in the short term is the profits. So
Right.
So I guess
Well,
at what point? Yeah. So
I think, and this is one thing. Like I describe myself as a capitalist, but I also describe myself as a very heavy critic of capitalism. I think sometimes you can fight capitalism with capitalism, because this is what's going to happen. Throw the morality shit out the window. Spotify does not give a fuck. I think
not a
single fuck.
They don't give a fuck. But this is what's going to happen, though. They don't have to give a fuck. What they want is to make money.
Yeah.
So right now, if this hasn't already happened, what they're doing is a cost-benefit analysis. They're going to say, okay, we have the Joe Rogan podcast on our platform. These people have an issue with it. You've got Neil Young. You've got various people that have these opinions that are pulling their shit off. Is this making us... Are we still net positive from Joe Rogan? Or is this now losing us money? Because the only way that they're going to give a fuck is if it loses the money. If it doesn't lose the money... Don't look forward to any changes, because they don't give a fuck, because they're making money. That's the end of the story as far as they're concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
like Kevin Spacey
money.
off of House of Cards, as opposed to Dave Chappelle had already been saying certain things and got his specials regardless. They haven't taken those down.
Right. So that's what it's going to boil down to.
Well, I think the capitalism. I think the thing about it though is that. And you'll see this at both capitalism and also the way these labels that own Spotify, the investors and the owners of Spotify and labels that sort of invested in these talk about is that if you criticize any part of it, you're going to kill the golden goose.
Right.
So I think to be a capitalist, you need to be aggressively critical to where capital is being allocated, because in a capitalist society, a lot of time what we've seen is inequity, because most of the capital is going to the capitalist,
right,
and not to labor, not to. In the case of Spotify, the labor is the creative, but lately it's been they're also the one paying for not only creating the song, writing them, but buying the gear, paying for the studio time, paying for the like they're responsible for all of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I guess I just think that's the point. Like, understanding that there should be critique, even if you maybe don't think that Joe Rogan is peddling false information, these sort of things. I think that it's important that there's artists that can find a avenue to basically leave without just totally losing their livelihoods.
Right.
And with Neil Young, from my understanding, he already had a streaming service that was already making him hundreds of thousands, if not millions a year.
What's that?
That basically
What's that streaming service?
I think he has a thing where he just has his own service where you pay like $1 and there's like a couple dollars, and it's like
there's a few music artists that kind of do that.
Listeners that already pay for it, so he kind of already had a foot out the door as it was.
I know Neil Young is just like a piece of Americana that is just like eternal and
that's another part, is that I was reading this article that talks about how 90% of people listen to music that's older than 2 years. Mm-hmm. So they're listening to legacy music somewhat. And a lot of the artists that get played the most, when you look at the most plays...
Jake, can you put that
24,
that link in the description, that people are listening to old music more than they're listening to new music? Old music is killing new music.
It's in the group chat, but I can share it again. Sure. So it's just interesting whenever you take, like, even if you're not hardcore, like, oh, well, he told them take down... Like, first off, the narrative was, like... Neil Young was already just gonna say, fuck Spotify, I'm out. Fuck y'all, I'm out. Drop the mic. He wasn't saying. I don't think he was like, you better not be with her, not be with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like he literally. Yeah, I don't think he expected nobody. So it didn't like Neil Young lost. Neil Young just said, listen. This is my ideal. I'm going with my ideal. I'm gonna make money out here. Fuck these guys, and left. And they took. I think honestly anybody can just take their own music down. So it's not like Spotify took his music down. It's like I can just go into to Spotify and take my music down. Right. It's not like it's that dramatic. But notice how these people that want to make it about canceling, like you want to cancel, and there was this fight. He lost, like win, lose, cancel, win. There's a very polarized things. Note how small, how small their ideas are.
Right. And that's why like I'm super against the idea of cancel culture, not because of the concept, but because of the effectiveness.
So binary.
Yeah, it's like what
and
the fuck
there's no comeback, there's no learning, there's no now some things you do two things. You fuck with anyway, I'm sorry.
No,
this is gonna be racist, so I'm gonna say it. This is racist, but I'm gonna say it. The whole idea of cancel culture is just white people taking black slang and doing too much. This whole shit.
Weren't you saying before cancel culture was like a joke before, and then
it was a joke.
Seriously?
Right.
Things like cancel and the word woke are just jokes that black people were trading among one another.
Somebody would say some shit, and black people would be like, "Oh man, this motherfucker's canceled." And it's like,
throw it in rice. It's fucking done. Like these were jokes.
But
these were jokes.
But this is the thing. Just to finish my thought on what I'm saying.
But
like the idea of that is fucking stupid. Partially for the reasons that you just said. What is more important, and this is what Neil Young is doing, and that's why I really commend him for this. Make it unprofitable.
Yes.
Stop letting this bullshit be profitable, and they'll stop doing it. Again, we live in a capitalist society. All motherfuckers care about is money. I hate that. I hate that we're like that, but that's the reality that we live in. Yeah. So Neil Young is doing what he can do. Can he take down Spotify by himself? No. But he made the right choice, in my opinion. He did what he could to say, you know what? I'm not going to contribute to your financial gains if you're doing some bullshit. Mm-hmm. So that's what motherfuckers need to do. Just stop giving money to people that don't let them
it's
be profitable.
It's definitely a huge move, and more people should literally put their money where their mouth is. He's losing money by the idea that people are not able to access his music in a place where the most people are. It is a real thing. To say I'm not going to put my music on Spotify.
So what you're talking about? One thing I've learned recently with Spotify was going back to sorry, what is her fucking name? That took her music off in 2014.
Taylor Swift.
So when Taylor Swift took her music off in 2014, Spotify had 13% of music market share. Mm-hmm. And she cited that she didn't like the freemium model where people could listen to music for free and get some advertisement because she felt like Spotify was basically lowering the value, devaluing music and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, she later got back on Spotify in 2017 whenever they had 40% of the entire.
Because guess what?
Literally,
her money was fucked. Well, her money wasn't fucked up, but she was losing out on it.
I think she came back.
Do y'all know why?
Wait, well, it's not even about. Okay, sure. That's not
Sean Parker. Are y'all familiar with that name?
MySpace.
Heard the name.
Napster.
Oh, I'm sorry. He was in Napster, and then he got into early Facebook. He was also played by Justin Timberlake in Social Media, and he was a party boy apparently in that movie. But anyway,
yes, that's the reason.
Sorry, it's the social network.
No, that is the reason. Spotify was I think it was one of them north ass countries with all the blonde white people in the snow. Mm-hmm. They started that company, and Sean Parker. Bought in, and I don't know if y'all remember this, but when Spotify first came to the States, you had to have a Facebook to have a Spotify.
Really?
Yeah.
When was Spotify invented or like started?
I want to say 2009.
Well, either way, with Spotify,
10,
my
10.
biggest complaint.
And then
2006,
it got to
Stockholm,
it got to
Sweden.
the States in like 11, 12. Stockholm, Sweden. What'd I say? White people in the snow.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
I might. Yeah.
So like this, and like in the early days when it first got to the States, you had to have a Facebook in order to have a Spotify account. And in fact, they give you like a month free.
That's pretty
11.
crazy.
2011.
I super hate that, by the way. I hate how like certain stuff, in order to like be a part of it, they're like, well, what's your like, because I don't have a Facebook, because like fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's a side note.
Bumble
keep
used to
going,
be
my
like
bad.
that too. To be able to have a Bumble account, you had to have a Facebook.
So I mean, think about these things. These are all things that like Facebook owns. They own these things, and that's why they're the metaverse now.
Right.
You know, so it's like the way that you date, the way that you keep in contact with people, the way that you video chat, the way that you take pictures of yourself, the
Right.
way that you listen to music, all of these things that kind of like make you up as a person have been compartmentalized into like this one company
Commoditized.
And monopolized,
that they know everything about you, and they're the ones that have all the shit other than like Google. Google is like your curiosity.
That actually leads perfectly into my thing about NFTs and the metaverse and what they are. But
No, let's
keep
talk
going.
about it.
We'll tie that.
Let's talk about it right now.
So,